welcome. This is Jeff Herrmann with the Business Journal. And the question I have for you today, if you want to better align your sales and marketing team to drive revenue, then you are in the right place. This should be an amazing webinar. I welcome you to this webinar. It's called the Customer Acquisition Revolution, and it's how to empower your marketing and sales teams with HubSpot. And we are thrilled to deliver this webinar. We've done many webinars, and this webinar is near and dear to our heart because we are joined by HubSpot today, and we at the Business Journal are HubSpot users, and this webinar couldn't be possible without the expertise of the Prodigal Company as well. So this webinar is in partnership with the Prodigal Company, HubSpot, and the Business Journal. So joining us on the panel today, we have Jeff Hedrich, President and Lead Brand Strategist of the Prodigal Company, Adrienne Sabo, Creative Director with Prodigal Company, and Casey Peddicord from HubSpot. Hello, Casey. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So with that, we appreciate everyone's attendance today. Thank you all for joining us, and I will kick it off and hand it over to get us started. Right. Jeff, please go ahead.
Greetings, everyone. Obviously, these have been, how many times have you heard the word unprecedented times? And obviously, first we're talking about COVID, and whether you're a business person who has felt that the measures taken were draconian, or you're someone who thinks actually all the steps, and a lot of folks from Ohio on board, by the way, but not limited to Ohio, or whether all the steps were taken were necessary. Obviously, virtually every category has been impacted. A sliver have been impacted in a good way. We're positioned well for the pandemic, whether intentionally or just through circumstance. But a lot of businesses have suffered and found challenges, and those challenges continue. And now, whether or not you're viewing the ongoing protests and the issues of racial injustice and inequality being raised as something that's long overdue, and or as something that's also setting the economy back, really fundamentally as business people, I think at some level we're pragmatic, and that is that everyone on board, and I can see we have a lot of sales leaders, we have some C-suite, we have some owners. I see we have people from manufacturing, pretty heavy in manufacturing, whether additive manufacturing or more traditional industrial manufacturing, a lot of manufacturing reps on board. But I see insurance, financial services, retail. So we have a really broad spectrum because ultimately HubSpot is a tool that can work for all of those. In Prodigal, as a branding agency, every one of you here has a brand. And one of our core thoughts is that nothing drives sales more consistently than a highly valued brand. So part of the value we're going to bring to this discussion, and make no mistake, you're going to learn a lot about HubSpot and you'll have a sense of whether it's the right tool for you, we bring the value both showing you what an agency partner, really any agency if they're good, but also specifically what Prodigal can do towards that. And we are branding experts. That's what we've hung our hat on. Something very briefly, and then leads into what do I mean about nothing drives sales more consistently, a highly valued brand. We've been in business for about 25 years. And two of my clients we've had for 25 years, and that would be Sheely's Furniture and Appliance. If you don't know it, it's a powerhouse, single location, at least right now, retailer, does almost $50 million a year out of one location. It's always ranked in the top 5 independent furniture stores in the country. And yet, unlike most furniture stores, especially those that offer good pricing and value, we do not live on sales. We don't live on financing. We live and grow by the value of the brand and how it's communicated over time. And then Farmers National Bank is another client. It's grown from a fairly sleepy community bank, about 140 years old, to the fastest growing community bank in Ohio. And last year was named the #1 community bank in terms of performance in Ohio and one of the top 30 in the country. So that's part of the value we bring, but I want to assure you that this is not solely a sales pitch. You're going to learn about HubSpot. The other thing I can tell you is that we were an early adopter of kind of early sort of marketing sales software. And again, this is my private opinion. I don't want to be sued by Salesforce, but we used Pardot early on, and it was a disaster. It was a product not ready for prime time, and maybe much better today, I don't know. But even their reps didn't understand the product and its functionalities, and it didn't work well. And frankly, I wasted $35,000 on it over a year contract. Then we did use SharpSpring for quite a while, and that was definitely a better performing product than Pardot was at the time. But it has nowhere near the functionality and the capabilities of the software platform that Casey and all the folks he works with at HubSpot have built. And also with HubSpot, you don't just get technology, you get some partners. not only to get us agency partner, but we have Casey and his colleague, Lindsay, who work with us to make sure that we can deliver for our clients. So you get a lot of things with HubSpot, and that's one of the reasons it is by far the #1 marketing sales service platform out there. And you're going to hear both from Casey and Adrienne about how we use that, and you're really going to get a drill down into it. And finally, one of the things just we emphasize, and Casey will tell you, and that while it's a great technology platform, it still is about your messaging, your content, because you can use this platform, but if you have bad messaging, and we'll talk about some examples of bad messaging as well as we think good, it's not going to do you any good. So whether you internally create that messaging, or ideally you work with a partner, and most ideally with Prodigal, that's something we want you to know. And then go ahead, Adrienne, and share the next slide. Essentially what HubSpot does is what every salesperson, every company faces. You've got to turn a stranger into a prospect, into a customer, here we go, and ideally, of course, into promoter, which means a net promoter. We're not going to focus so much on that last piece right now. We're going to focus really on turning strangers into prospects, and most crucially, prospects into customers. Casey's going to drill down on how you do that. But I would say that this is something that, again, 25 years in the business, it's become more complex. On the one hand, technology has helped us do it, has helped us along the way, but it creates its own complexities. And obviously now with COVID, where if you're a salesperson, it may be a while before your customers, or let alone prospects, want you to visit them. So some of the traditional ways, that networking, and then obviously trade shows. Most trade shows have been canceled. Look, do I think eventually those things are coming back? I do, but probably not in the magnitude or the frequency that we've been used to. And HubSpot is a perfect way to allow you to digitally, as well as other methods, deliver those marketing sales messages, align your marketing and sales, and that's what you're going to learn about today. So with that, I want to just turn that over into Adrienne, and we're going to just start taking you through the process.
First, one of the reasons we think HubSpot is great during these times of coronavirus is, trade shows are probably going virtual. I've just had a couple that just got canceled for the fall. And then we're also noticing a lot of customer visits are being suspended as well. So it's a really good time to adapt some new technology that might be able to help you reach your customers more effectively. And also, HubSpot put together this dashboard, and maybe Casey can help me speak to it a little bit too, that's sort of tracking HubSpot users and what is going on during these times pre and post coronavirus. And well, I should say we're not totally post yet, but so they've been tracking email opens and email sent rates. And as you can see here in January, and then a little bit in February, it took pretty big dip underneath, but now our email opens and the send rate are drastically increased from where they were. This is something they're constantly updating and monitoring. So people are spending more time in their inboxes. They're definitely using those means of communications more. So it's a really good time to be marketing yourself via email. They also have some good data that website traffic is up. So if your website is not being used as an inbound marketing tool, you're really missing the boat on being able to capture those people, capture that data, and then be able to market to them. We've also, we know that the market is starting to rally. Stock market's coming back, unemployment's coming back, rates getting better. There was a huge rise in e-commerce sales in May. So people are definitely using the web more than ever in order to make their purchase decisions.
And if I could speak a little to that as well, one of our clients I mentioned, Sheely's, just as one example, they actually set sales records. They had been closed, of course, as a furniture store. And for 3 weeks, they were open by appointment only. All 3 of those weeks, they set sales records for a 67-year-old company. We also have, you're going to hear about Lex Industries, Lex Technical Services. They had, like a lot of manufacturers gone on furlough for a while, shut down and put everyone on furlough. And they came back and, they are booming again already. I realize that's not true for everyone, not for every sector of the economy, but, people are, and I think the last thing to remember is this was not an economically induced recession. This was a health crisis induced recession. And that's why we have a lot of confidence that, no one can predict the future, including me, but I look forward and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and that's why we're all on this webinar today.
HubSpot is based around inbound marketing. So I think the first thing would be to lay a little bit of groundwork as to actually what inbound marketing is. So inbound marketing is basically a strategy in order to draw customers into your products or your services by creating content that is useful for them. So that is the whole idea behind HubSpot, is you're putting out emails, blogs, landing pages, social posts, things that are relevant and are content-based that will draw those prospects to you, so then you can start retargeting them and marketing them stuff that they're interested in. So it's all based around that whole idea of inbound marketing. So it is an all-in-one marketing, sales, and service platform. There's 3 hubs to it, well, 4 now, I guess, with the CMS. And it's all powered by the same database. So everyone is working from the same database of information, whereas before we're all siloed out with different platforms. You might have your salespeople using Salesforce, and your marketing team is using MailChimp and Hootsuite and other platforms in order of managing their marketing, and nobody is talking to one another. So it helps when you're all working off the same system of record, and then also it allows for this smoother handoff between teams, so your client doesn't really see that handoff anymore and doesn't see that difference.
If I could say too, for the sales folks out there, we have a number on board. You wonder, what about the cold calls? That's still part of it. Absolutely, what I found is that HubSpot, doing all those other things that Adrienne mentioned, the emails and knowing who opened, who looked at something, means when you still try to make that phone call, it's really almost more like a warm lead. You know that someone you've decided to call has at least been exposed to certainly your products, some things. And so now I think it increases the chance of them taking that phone call. And so it doesn't eliminate that, it makes it more productive.
Right, the insights are truly everywhere. So why would you not want to know that a prospect potentially opened your email, clicked on a link, and using that intelligence to just have a more relevant and meaningful conversation instead of like completely blind. In many cases, sales can be completely blind to what the customers are interested in. So those insights are everywhere, and HubSpot does provide that information.
Yeah, and Jeff, I want to make sure, Jeff, you've used HubSpot for what, 4 years yourself, as well as the Business Journal?
Correct. CRM user for 20 years. So as you mentioned, Salesforce, I was a deep partner in the Salesforce ecosystem and have used HubSpot for the past 4 years, and certainly couldn't work every day without it.
Okay.
And so HubSpot sort of bases their practices off of the Flywheel. So I'm going to let Casey kind of take it over and explain that.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, again, my name is Casey Peddicord. I'm a channel account manager here at HubSpot. So I work with Adrienne and Jeff and other partners all across North America in helping them bring value to their customers through HubSpot. So a little bit more about the Flywheel here. It's really interesting. I hear we have a lot of sales folks and a lot of C-suite folks on the call today. And, you hear things about a sales funnel, right? Or the customer funnel or a marketing funnel where you got a top of funnel and it works down into them becoming a customer, or from a sales funnel working down to where they actually buy something or turn it over to service. And HubSpot turned that on its head a little bit. We feel like the funnel is actually a little bit too linear for 2020 and beyond. And so we came up with this concept called the Flywheel. And when you look at the Flywheel here, you see the top is attract, over to the right is engage, and over to the left is delight. If you think about this flywheel starting to spin, right, that spinning of the flywheel creates velocity for your business. And the velocity for your business could mean time back. It could mean dollars back. It could be a faster sales process, or taking that prospect from just a cold lead into a warm lead and turning them into a customer. So when we look at the flywheel, it's really how HubSpot is built today. If you look at the center of the flywheel, that's really the basis of everything, where the CRM lives. And the CRM manages your companies and your contact records. And then around that CRM, there are a few different tool sets or toolboxes. So helping you to prospect or attract clients to your business, there's a set of marketing tools. Engaging those prospects or turning them into customers, there's an entire tool set of sales tools. And then on the back end, there's an entire set of tools that help you service your customers better, and also help you turn those folks into promoters for the business and we think it's a flywheel when you continue to spin that as folks continue to refer your business, and also as you continue to build more content for the business to continue to attract folks in.
Awesome. I think you want to go ahead and maybe share your screen. I'll stop and we can just dive into the actual platform.
Sure. Yeah, happy to do it. So I wanted to start out with, and I'm going to share a couple things today. And again, I appreciate you all letting me share with everyone today. Again, I'm based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, so if I do sound Southern, I do have a little bit of Southern accent. Not a whole lot I can do about it, but I'm fully remote with HubSpot, and right now the whole HubSpot team all across the world is remote, about 3,300 of us. We're just starting to open our offices back up, but I like to take a second to talk just a little bit about HubSpot, sort of where it started, and then it might make more sense for you when you do see the tool. We'll definitely jump into the tools today as well. You know, HubSpot started a little over 13, 14 years ago with two gentlemen, Brian Halligan and Dharmesh Shah. Brian is still our CEO today. Dharmesh is our CTO. And they were at MIT Sloan, going through the grad school there, working on their MBA. And they said, there's got to be a better way for us to market our businesses versus just randomly cold calling folks or sending cold emails. And so they came up with this term called inbound. And Adrienne shared a little bit about inbound, but it's really about creating engaging things for your clientele out there and delighting your customers to where they're buying or becoming a customer on their own terms versus you forcefully doing it. And so we started as a marketing automation platform. And over the years, we've definitely added more parts and pieces, talking about those different tool sets. And so today's platform, again, we talked about the CRM being the core. It's how you manage your contacts and companies today. The two most popular, I guess, tool sets that folks or companies come on board with HubSpot with are the marketing and sales tools. And we'll spend most of our time there today. From a marketing tool set, you know, imagine a platform or a tool where you can do anything and everything digital for your business. Things like managing your social media, posting to all your social media accounts, doing all your ad campaigns like your LinkedIn ads, your Google ads, quickly being able to build landing pages. I know that's a big pain for a lot of folks today, where maybe you've got a WordPress site and it takes a few hours to go in and build a landing page for maybe a webinar or an ebook that you want to put out there online. I'm going to show you today how to quickly build that in maybe 60 seconds. You can do all your blogging, email marketing, everything that you see here is included with the HubSpot marketing tool set, or the marketing hub as we call it. And then really from a powerful, I guess the grunt work behind HubSpot really comes from workflows and marketing automation. So HubSpot's probably the most powerful marketing automation engine out there. And I'm going to show you how that works today. I'm going to show you a live example of how we walk through and automate things on the back end to make it really easy and simple for your marketing teams and sales teams to be able to connect and make it a better experience for your customers. Now we'll get into the sales tools just a little bit later in today's webinar, but a little bit of background on me. I've spent the last 12 years in B2B sales and sales management across the Southeast. I've managed multi-state teams. So you sales folks out there and sales leaders, gosh, that is my wheelhouse. I love living in that space. And I'll show you some things that are really cool and quick today that you can do to make your sales process easier, and also see some great reporting on the back end as well. Again, we'll dive into that just a little bit later, but we're going to start on the marketing end. Adrienne, is it okay if I dive in and
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
and start sharing some things? Okay, cool. So I wanted to start here. This is actually a landing page that I built very quickly. I did this in about 3 minutes this morning. So when you come on board to HubSpot as a client, we're going to put what's called a first-party tracking cookie code onto your website. And so as you continue to build your database of customers, or maybe you pull in that database of customers from, let's say, Salesforce or another CRM, that cookie is going to track your prospects and customers as they go to your website. And you're going to be able to get information about them. Things like what pages are they looking at, what emails are they clicking on, how they're interacting with your site and your landing pages. Now, I quickly built this landing page today. This is built within HubSpot in one of my personal portals. And it goes right along with our webinar today, right? The customer acquisition revolution, connecting your marketing and sales teams. So let's just play along for a second from a role play standpoint and imagine that we had created an ebook, right? So after this webinar today, you would have gotten an email saying, hey, thanks for joining the webinar. There's actually a guide that we created that shows you the top 5 ways to easily connect your marketing and sales teams today. So I'm going to use a person named Molly Roberts. I'm going to say, hey, Molly went to the webinar. We sent this email out, sent her to this landing page and said, hey, if you're interested in downloading the guide, feel free to do that. So I'm going to plug in Molly's email address here. And I'm going to say she's part of a company called Knoxville Ventures. Now, I didn't have to gather a lot of information from Molly. Again, I just wanted to make it really quick and easy. So like first name, last name, and email. I'm going to click submit here. So within HubSpot, there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes right now. I'm going to show you a couple of those. But as you see, I've filled out the form. Now I can quickly go to my ebook that I've created, which is called The Guide. Well, what's cool is from a HubSpot standpoint, there's automation going on in the background. First off, it looks like HubSpot let me know that I had a contact that actually went and looked at that page and converted through that form. Now, I'm going to show you Molly's email as well. So what the customer would see on her end. What's great is Molly actually got an email as well. When she filled out that form, she got an email that said, hey, thanks for checking out the guide. You can actually download your free ebook here. That's one of the best practices around inbound marketing is instead of just having them look at this particular one right when they fill out the form, you also want to send it in a secondary email. So that way they can go back and look at it later on down the road. Now, imagine that, me as a sales rep, I got this information that says, hey, Molly went to the webinar and now she's actually went and converted to one of those forms. So again, HubSpot's working for me on the back end as a sales rep to say, hey, you've got somebody that might be interested in maybe having a little bit more conversation about how your agency could help. Now, what's cool is as I'm looking at this page, this is just a generic ebook that I just threw in here. There's some other things that are going on. So if I view, let's say Molly goes back and a few days later, we sent her a secondary email. Now you'll see I just got this email. This is all workflow triggered. It's all marketing automation. A couple of days down the road, Molly gets another email that says, hey, how was the guide? What did you think? We would love your feedback. And also, if you would like to schedule time with us, feel free to click here. And you can actually schedule time with me, and I would love to have a conversation with you because it seems like you're really interested about working with us. Now, on the back end as well of HubSpot, there's even more automation happening to be able to let my sales rep or me know that, hey, Molly is really interested. You can see here that actually HubSpot just sent me an email that said, hey, I've got a hot lead in Molly. Call them now. I can click here to view them in HubSpot. Also, HubSpot actually just sent me a text message as well. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and share my desktop. And you'll see probably Adrienne's face here, but I'm going to show you my personal text messages. You can see here that HubSpot sent me a text that said, hot dang, you've got a lead that you need to reach out to ASAP. And that's awesome. And I haven't done anything manually. This is all marketing automation on the back end of HubSpot. And so I'm going to stop sharing so I can just share this particular screen again. So just because Molly went and looked, filled out that form and looked at that particular page, we've gathered a lot of information about her. And I can go in and see some of those things as well. So let's take a look at what that looks like. This is actually the HubSpot platform. And again, the engine that drives HubSpot is around workflows. And I want to show you the back end of some of the things of how that happened. Now, this workflow I built out in about, 5 or 10 minutes. It's really, really easy to do things like this within HubSpot. It can be deeply powerful, but very easy to use. So what happened on the back end of HubSpot of what we just walked through was, hey, I filled out that form. Because Molly filled out that form, then we're going to send Molly this particular email. And then we had a delay, maybe a day or two. And then we sent Molly another email. Now, what's great is there are branches that you can add in here as well to say, hey, if Molly opened that guide email, which we did, then I want to send a text message to my sales team that says, hey, you've got a lead to follow up on. Maybe I want to assign a task in the system for them to follow up. And then I can also send an email to my sales team to say, hey, marketing has created this particular lead that we feel like is really warm for you. Feel free to reach out. Now, what does it look like from a sales rep or from a marketing standpoint when I'm looking at that in the system. So I'm going to show you what we look at in the system. So I'm going to look up Molly here for a second. So let's take Molly. Now, because Molly filled out that form, HubSpot's going to start trying to gather information about her, and it creates a contact record. And on that contact record, I can see anything and everything of how Molly has interacted with my business. So number one, looks like it pulled in a picture from social media here. So I've got Molly. Molly is, it's funny, Molly is really my wife. The picture is, once it shows up here for a second, it looks like it's taking a second for Zoom to load it while I'm on Zoom, but her real name's Kristen. But I got a lot of information here about Molly. I've got her first name. I see her phone number. I see I can assign her as me as the owner of that. So if you've got, let's say, a 10-person sales team and you want to manually assign out leads or automatically assign out leads, you can do that in the system. And then in the middle here, what's really great about contact records and HubSpot is, and I think both Jeff and Adrienne would agree with this, it's really easy to see the activity with this particular prospect. So at the top, I can see, hey, look, Molly just clicked on that email, right? We clicked on it together. You saw that in the webinar. And I can see what the details are of that particular email. It looks like we clicked on it and opened it a couple of times. Looks like we got another email here, the first one that was sent out. I can see those details. So again, from a sales standpoint, marketing's done a lot of work for me here already. And when I reach out, I can see that Molly's opened this several times. In fact, if Molly keeps opening that email, it will continue to update this activity record. Now, a lot of other things fall into activity records. This is kind of like the Facebook feed for a person within HubSpot, right? I can see all the emails that I've sent them from a sales or marketing standpoint. I can see all the conversations that they've had with my company, or basically anything that has to do with that particular person would show up here in this activity feed. Now, I can also keep notes. I can see here that I originally met Molly at a Lunch and Learn event in November. I said, hey, we should stay in contact. Now, I've nurtured Molly throughout the last, 9 months or so, but now Molly is to the point to where she's really interested and we're going to set a meeting with Molly. So I can call Molly straight from the CRM. I can call Molly from here and it will actually dial to my cell phone, or I can call from the browser if I have a headset log. If I need to email Molly, I could do that from here. So lots of different sales tools that you can do. We'll dive into some of the specifics here a little bit later, but that's what a contact record looks like. Now I want to take a few minutes, if it's okay, Adrienne and Jeff, to dive into kind of what comes with marketing and some of the things that you could do with the Marketing Hub. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So one of the things that I did really easily before this call, took about 5 minutes, was to go in and create a landing page. So when I click on marketing here at the top, I can see that I can manage my ads, I can manage my email, I can manage all of my social for my business, and I can manage my landing pages or even build my entire website through HubSpot. So I want to show you how quick and easy it is to be able to build a landing page. If you're going to build one from scratch, you can see here I've got a couple that we built for the Business Journal today, the landing page and the thank you page that you saw where you can download it. Let's just click edit. I want to show you how easy but powerful it is to be able to do drag and drop editing and also add dynamic content in the system. So as the landing page editor loads here, this is based off of the template that HubSpot gives you. And everything you see here is what you see is what you get editor. It's called WYSIWYG. So if I wanted to just simply add text, I can do this. I can just click right here. I can add a bunch of text to our site. Click update and it's live on the page. So whether your original website is through WordPress or Squarespace or Sitecore or Wix, or you do it through HubSpot, you can easily add on landing pages or blogs to make events or ebooks or whatever content you're building really easy and quick for your marketing team without having any coding necessary. I want to apply those changes there. If I need to drag in a different image, or if I wanted to add a header to the page, I can very easily, you'll see all these different options on the left-hand side, and I'll be able just to take that and drag it over to the page. So the landing page editor, again, saves a ton of time for your marketing team, and everything is integrated. So as folks continue to fill out the form, or as they go back to the form, it would show dynamic content. So imagine that Molly that we talked about, if Molly went back and looked at a different landing page later, you can make it to where it says, Molly, discover the top 5 ways you easily connect with your marketing and sales team. Because you already have that information and you could dynamically insert her name or company name in there as well. Now, some other parts and pieces that I think Prodigal really enjoys, and I think Business Journal really enjoys as well, is number one, you can manage all your social media. So to be able to create all your social posts inside of HubSpot, not having to use like a Hootsuite or some other social tool. And to show you how easy it is, if I just create a Facebook post here, you can see I'm posting from the beer garden. We have a lot of beer gardens here at the HubSpot office. Here's a picture. And if I wanted to duplicate that into multiple forms, it's very easy to just take it, put it in Instagram, put it into Twitter, put it into LinkedIn. Now, the beauty and the reason why you'd want to do it from HubSpot is you can actually get attribution reporting. So if we posted this to LinkedIn, we would get analytics that would show us that, hey, Molly is inside of the CRM. Molly went and interacted with this post, and we could see the customer journey from originally when Molly saw that particular ad all the way to when Molly ended up purchasing a package with us at the end of the day. And so I can see that that particular Facebook post, even though Molly had multiple interactions with us through the landing page, through our ebook, through our webinar, it all started maybe from that LinkedIn post. And so we could see that from a marketing standpoint, LinkedIn generated a $100,000 deal for us at the end of the day. There's a full reporting suite built in. So these are some social reports. I'll show you a little bit more deeper dive ones. But from a marketing standpoint, anything digital that you need to do, including your email automation. So this is an email. Again, the same drag and drop editor here. You can easily send that to lists or contacts or companies within the system. And then it puts it in these beautiful reports. So within HubSpot, we pride ourselves on making the system really easy to use. So you can see here, if I was a marketing, let's say a VP of marketing or a C-suite that wanted to check on how marketing was doing today, I could log in and automatically see, hey, here's our top landing pages. What are some of the things that are working really well for us? How's our contact rate? What's our blogging performance look like? What are the top emails my marketing team is sending? And you can even break it down into lead scoring and also show top personas. So you could break all the contacts up into different personas. Now, one quick other thing before I turn it back over to Jeff and Adrienne as well. Gosh, there's a full reporting suite built in. There's sales dashboards, service dashboards. We'll show you some of the sales stuff in just a second. But you know, a lot of folks out there are trying to do account-based marketing today. You hear the term ABM a lot, or you think about if you're a mid-market company or you're targeting mid-market or corporate enterprises. Gosh, there's a lot of decision makers, right? There's a lot of folks that you could be targeting or reaching out to within the company, and sometimes that's tough because you might have different sales folks reaching out to different people, or you may have different marketing folks or different C-level individuals reaching out to different parts and pieces of the company. HubSpot has an entire ABM suite built in as well. So think about those larger deals that you're working on. Let's use HubSpot, for instance. If you had a company and you were trying to target HubSpot, I could quickly go in and see, all right, here's the buying roles of folks within HubSpot. If I needed to, I just had a conversation with Justin. Maybe he didn't really care for my proposal, so I'm going to put him as a blocker. I could see that over the last month, we've sent a couple of emails, but maybe I want to look at the last quarter. And so no matter if you're on sales or marketing or service, you could quickly go in and see all the different engagements tied to one particular company, see who the stakeholders are, see what deals are being worked, and see the different page views from that company. So again, it makes it a much better experience for the end user, and makes it a better experience for your customer as well. So that way they don't get duplicate interactions. You can quickly go and see what's going on.
Casey, what's the best practice on how many target accounts you should be managing at any one time?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, working in a sales background for so long, I think a lot of sales managers on the call or sales reps, you've probably heard the term like, hey, you need to have your top 25, right? Like you've got 25 targets that you're really pounding and trying to figure out what's going on and know everything about them. So I see 25 to 50 in there a lot, but in some of the large organizations, it's not uncommon to see a few hundred in there where they have, you know, if it's more of a volume play or if it's a more quick turn service. But in a traditional sense, I see a lot of folks load between 25 and 50.
Right. Okay, that's good. I dove into the target account training module last week because it's a newer feature of HubSpot, something that we're using. And I recommended starting with 5 to 10 just to get a feel for it. But I believe we do need to increase it. I see 470 here. and I'm thinking I'm not doing enough in this area. So,
No, this is just this is a portal it's a live portal that has a lot of data
Sure.
in it, and so it's got a bunch in there. But it's very easy to go and say, all right, I have this particular account, and I want to make this a target account. So if I'm going to pull up Bernie here. Adrienne and Jeff have seen Bernie before. He's one person that I like to use in the system from a demo database standpoint. And his company is not a target account, but let's say I just had a conversation with Bernie, and that company, I really want to target Bernie.com. It's very easy for me to go in and add them as a target account in the system. And you basically do that. Like, hey, I'm on this person's record. I go to the company record, and then in the top right, there's going to be something that says, are they a target account? Yes or no. And do you want to add them there? So while I'm on a company record and finding out things about the company, I can see here that Bernie is already a target account. I could edit them and take them out. I can see buying roles in the last engagement while looking at the company record as well.
Thank you, Casey. That's great stuff. And again, I think one of the things I want to say to folks is, number one, obviously this tool, as we talked about, is far more intuitive than anything else we've worked with. But still, as you can tell, there's things you have to go through. And a big part of this, when you work with HubSpot and HC partners, the onboarding process. And both HubSpot and someone like Casey, and again, he has a partner, Lindsay, that works with us, and your agency partner, Prodigal, for example, there's a whole onboarding process. You're not going to get lost. And how do I do this? How do I do that? We're going to walk you through all of it. We do a lot of it. It is a collaboration, but that's a key. So thanks, Casey. I know we're going to come back to you in a little bit. So one thing I just want to take a big takeaway and is that more than ever, often my experience with clients is sales and marketing are siloed. Sometimes there's even, bickering between them. A lot of times sales feel like marketing's really not helping them. Well, no one's going to make it in this current environment if that's the case anymore. I think the blurred line between what marketing and sales is going to be further blurred. And if I'm a sales team, I've got to really now look to my marketing team to drive leads to me, because again, some of those traditional methods just aren't going to work anymore. So that's all the more reason for the importance. But we wanted to shift now. I think, Adrienne, right? We're going to talk about the importance of content for the platform.
I think first, Jeff Herrmann, I wanted to maybe see what marketing side. I know we want to talk a little bit about sort of some of the features you and I both find useful on the marketing side. Go ahead and go back and share my screen. Give me 1 second. So I know for me, it's the one dashboard to me was probably the nicest thing that I can log into one thing. And then also just the fact that everything I need to create, host, share, and analyze it is in one place. Also just the fact that I can run the automation and even the A/B testing. But any features on marketing that sort of stick out for you that you find? I know you like the account-based for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically, where do you start? There's so many different tools that are amazing in their own right. Generally speaking, I love HubSpot because it helps you prioritize your outreach. So any company could have hundreds, if not thousands, of companies in their database. And where do you start? Like, how do you literally know who to call next? Well, through the marketing platform and through email communications and delivering value-added content, you can actually deliver that content and then see who opens and who clicks. And that's how you prioritize your calling. And so all that information is readily available. So it's all about sales productivity, and the productivity gains from knowing who's more likely to convert sooner is amazing. So that's really my favorite part as a sales professional that's leveraging the marketing hub, is really seeing what insights are there, who to prioritize first because they already engaged, and there's just a higher likelihood of closing and having a shorter sales cycle from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I would say as a marketer helping with the sales department, like we're doing with Lex Technical Services, it's kind of nice to feel like we're side by side in something, because a lot of times it feels like we're sometimes just like guessing what they might need, or just sort of taking orders at some times of, hey, we need this, hey, we need that. Kind of feels like we're working together more than I have in other experiences. So it is kind of nice we're working together for the same common goal. And then I think Casey, can you maybe talk about the agency partner program that they have?
Sure, yeah. So HubSpot, we know from a software standpoint that, gosh, there's no two businesses that are the same, right? Everybody's got the nuances around, how they're setting up their marketing, how they're setting up their sales. And so at HubSpot, we absolutely onboard clients directly through HubSpot day in and day out all across the world. But a lot of times, from a complexity standpoint, it's really great to work with a certified HubSpot agency partner that can sit down with you and really work through those details and spend a lot of time helping you build out those particular parts and pieces of the portal, like custom properties and workflows. And it really has that knowledge because they've worked with so many clients before, that, hey, we know that this works really well. We can do this particular part. And so there is an agency partner program, certified agency partner program across North America. And right now, I think we have about 3,300 individual partners or company partners. And so I have the pleasure of working with Jeff and Adrienne and their team at Prodigal, and they're absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking for a partner to rely on to help you implement HubSpot and onboard to HubSpot, it's a great way to get the most value out of the HubSpot platform. I like to say, an analogy that I use all the time is HubSpot is a high performance race car, right? But without that driver, the race car is just going to sit there. And so you really want your agency, if you have a driver and you're able to have a co-driver as well to help you drive that car even better, it's really the best way to go.
And to that point with the agency partnership, I think Jeff wants to talk a little bit about content and creating content that actually speaks to your brand, not just content for the sake of content.
Yeah. So, brand is a very misunderstood thing. I'm sure everyone online knows it's not your logo. It really is about, what are your competitive strengths in the marketplace, and then creatively communicating them. And so 2 pieces. You've got to know what those strengths are, and then you've got to communicate in a way that cuts through all the clutter. And so we have a process, we have a few processes, but we have a basic mindset. And if you look and you see that attributes of excellence, right? All brands, there's basically 2 things. There's your attributes as a company, product, or service, and then there are the benefits that customers derive from them. And not all customers derive the same benefits from certain attributes. And so discovering not only what those attributes and benefits are that you offer, but the hierarchy is really important. So we have a way of looking. We want to understand. What we're really trying to figure out is what are you good at? That's what the attributes of excellence are, right? Maybe in your industry, there's really about 20 things you're good at. And that's important. But what's more important is which ones of those give you a competitive advantage. You see that other circle. In other words, you may be 20 things you're good at, but maybe 10 of them, everybody's good at it. And 3 or 4 of them, other people are better than you. So really then you're narrowing it down to what you want to most consistently communicate are those strengths, but also put it through one more filter. What do customers really value? Because you could be good at something, better than your competitors, but if customers don't value that, don't make their primary choices, you're wasting your money. So one of the first things we find out is a lot of times when we take people through our process, we have something called the brand MRI. It involves external research. It's a very full process. And we really find those things. We often find that the things they're marketing aren't really what people value about them, and they're wasting a lot of dollars. We also find it out through our brand scan, which is another process, and that's doesn't really relies more on internal research. And then finally, it's just what informs our strategic thinking. So if you work with us, before we even look about products, we're going to try to understand that factor, so we know that our messaging is our target, and we're building up your value over time. Because I've never yet found a company that always has the best product, always has the best price, always has the best deal. Sometimes you do, and as a salesperson, that's great when you do. But a lot of times, you do intermittently, and that you need to know consistently why people should choose you over time and communicate that. And that's what we do, again, either through a formal process or simply that's how we're trained to think. All right. We're going to give you some examples of what we mean both good and bad. The first thing is when it comes to email marketing, and again, email is having a resurgence, right? It's always been there for us, but now it's so primary because of COVID, right? Creativity begins in the subject line. So these are just examples of emails I got, people clearly they could be using HubSpot or Constant Contact or MailChimp. And this is what, hey, Jeff, quick discussion, possible discussion. Let's talk on Wednesday. These are all strangers, right? They're all saying that same thing. I'm not going to open that. Who are you? What are you doing? That's all you got, right? I don't have the time to open up all these emails. On the last one though, I want to show you kind of a clever one that came, but once you get burned by it, you'll never open it again. Postmaster email delivery failure. First, right? Oh, I sent an email. Wait a minute. It's from somebody else. They want me to click. It's clickbait, right? But you can bet, yeah, you got me to open that once. I will delete you, right? I will block you. So those aren't good opportunities. We're going to kind of show you the kind of thinking that has to stop at the subject line. This is just one example. Go ahead, Adrienne. So this is for, you're going to see the ad. This is for our company, Lex Technical Services. Right before the COVID, we done a trade publication ad about to stop the email. You got, furloughed, so to speak, about to start, but shred the competition with rugged feed shoots. Now, obviously, if you're not in the industry they're targeting, right? But, you're going to get the idea. Go ahead and show them the ad. This is done by our fabulous designer, Jeremy Scott. We took the idea of a shredder, right? Not all shredders are built like Lex. Introduced a new shredder product line from Lex. Then it goes into, it's obviously industrial shredders, right?
Like automobile shredders.
Really, what's that, I'm sorry?
Automobile shredders.
Okay, automobile shredder, that's right, which is pretty powerful, right? So we just wanted it, but we gave it a context. So content is king. Getting people to open that email is your number one battle in my view. Then once you do engaging, creatively, visually engaging, and then of course, we're not only showing you part of the email, it's going to have specific links. Are you interested in this particular shredder? Do you want an ebook? And then again, what HubSpot's going to tell us is, who looked at what product? And they get into that funnel, right? Who wanted the ebook? And again, it does that lead scoring, and then then our marketing is going to feed to the sales team. Hey, you really should try to call this person. They're damn well interested in a shredder, right? And we're just going to show you some other examples of what we think is some good creative. So this is what a landing page, Adrienne, you want to talk about this?
For Farmers National Bank, it was their totally green checking account, which is their zero fee account. So you see short headline at the top. We went with a lifestyle photo just to show what you could do if you're not spending as much money on your banking fees. And then as you do scroll on the page, it gets into more the nuts and bolts of it, lets you apply. But yeah, just an example of a creative execution with a more lifestyle focus when it comes to banking. And then this is on the Regional Income Tax Agency.
Yeah, this was a really complex campaign we took on behalf of the Regional Income Tax Agency. And this really was about the state of Ohio came out and said, hey, you should file, if your business, your local taxes with the state instead of through the community to which you belong. And not only did our client Rita, that does that administration and collection of taxes for 300 of Ohio's communities. Some of you may have gotten bills from Rita and wondered who they were until you figured that out, right? But the communities didn't want that. And just frankly, they don't want the state getting their money on that, their hands on that money. So we conducted a campaign really to say to businesses, hey, this may not really work out for a lot of reasons. Legal challenges, is the state really ready for this? And all we needed to do is create some doubt. And we were so successful that out of 400,000 eligible businesses to date, 3 years later, only 4,000 have opted in, and we're told the state is thinking of dropping it because it just doesn't make sense. So you can see the creative kind of marketing we did. Look before you leap, opt in. When the dust finally settles, created a consistent image, but very remarkable, rememberable. And then there was all kinds of content. You're just seeing the digital display ads that went with this to get people to not do something in this case, which was to the benefit of our client.
And this was for Sodexo Roth. This was an email campaign, and this was for their facilities management services. And so as you can see, taking a building and sort of squeezing it with a locked image, just taking something familiar and twisting it and making something creative for people to catch their eye and get them to read it.
And working with Sodexo Roth to try and understand, okay, again, what are the reasons why someone should choose you versus a competitor? Right, and some of their competitors, that's how they do it. They have this kind of sequence of if you do this, you do this, you do this, and then you find out you've got too much of that. You no longer have freedom to do things, make decisions, and so Sodexo Roth does not impose on their clients that way. And then that message and then that creative to drive it home.
And then when we're talking about digital marketing, obviously running social campaigns, social media posts for clients. So this is one for Alta Care Group. And we're talking about behavioral health, suicide prevention with this one. So we wanted something that was more lifestyle focused, softer, and that also still incorporated their branding. We do run their content calendar for them. And when you have someone sort of helping you push out that content regularly, you can keep your consistency up, which is really important as well. I know we're getting close on time. Do we want to quickly demo some stuff in sales?
Yeah, Casey, we're
Sure.
about 7-10 minutes left, and we want to make sure if there's any key questions that Jeff has a chance to let us know that.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you the 60-second overview if you guys want to run through that real quick. Is that good?
Yep.
All right. So some key things within the Sales Hub or within the sales tools. You know, imagine that you are a sales manager and you have a new business development rep that they're coming on board your company. Where do they start? What does that look like? Within HubSpot, you do have dashboards that you can set up for like proactive prospecting or reactive prospecting. So imagine as a sales rep sitting down in the morning, you go, all right, here's my high employee size and territory. It's a good fit for us. Here's my buying role. Who are my decision makers? Here's my target accounts, and let's see which ones have higher page views on my website. It gives the sales reps a lot of ammo to start their day. One of the other things that we like to do is run off of task or task queues. So imagine if I was working with Molly again, I'd had a call with her, and I want to create a task to follow up with Molly a little bit later. What does that look like maybe 3 days down the road? Well, it actually gives me a task list here. And what's nice as a sales rep or a sales manager, or as a sales manager, you could assign certain tasks to your sales rep. But if I click all these tasks that I've got to go through, I can click Start Queue, and HubSpot will actually walk me through and take me to those different pages to be able to either call or email the client. And it could even start those conversations for me automatically. Makes it really easy to just, as a sales rep, start your day. It's how everybody at HubSpot manages their days. So you can see here, Dolly, I've got to send a 2-pager. When I do that, I can email her. I click complete, and boom, it's going to take me to the next one. So task queues are really, really effective, and they're fun to use when you get in there and start going with them. And then on the last piece, our last couple of pieces, there is an entire deal pipeline management system where you can manage all the different deals. I think for the sake of time, we didn't have time to go in and create a deal and show you what that looked like. But you can do all of your forecasting, quota management, deal pipelines, and then you get those nice, really sexy, easy to use reports for those sales managers. So imagine a sales manager logging in, seeing what the calls were by rep, what's my activity leaderboard, what does my forecast look like. All that is built in within HubSpot in these beautiful dashboards. So when you come on board, we're going to give you a lot of these dashboards to work out of the box, but we definitely do have custom reporting that's very easy to use as well, where you can see all these different activities or see like quota attainment over time. So tons of sales tools to make it really easy. And I guess the last thing, just really quickly, imagine from a prospecting standpoint, if I wanted to enroll Molly in what's called a sequence of emails, there's something called Sequences. It's a really powerful sales tool that a lot of folks really enjoy. But imagine Molly was on the webinar today. We want to follow up with Molly and have the system continue to follow up for us. I could enroll Molly in what's called a sequence where she gets this email today. If she doesn't respond or book time on my calendar, 2 days from now, she's going to get another email. If she doesn't book time or respond then, a couple of days later, it's going to remind me to send her an email through Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, which I can do through HubSpot. If she doesn't answer then, 3 days later, she's going to get another email. And if she never responds to any of those, it reminds me as a sales rep to give her a call by phone. Once I start sequence, I forget it at that point. I can go on about my day, do something else, prospect, work on other accounts, and the system's continuing to work for me behind the scenes. And that's where it gets really, really powerful for your sales teams.
Excellent. Great overview. A question we have, does this integrate with Salesforce or is it meant to be standalone? So
Yep.
What's your view on the marketing versus the Sales Hub from that standpoint?
Yep, absolutely. So Salesforce is probably, it is one of our top integrations. We do have a lot of folks that are ingrained in Salesforce, and you definitely can use Marketing and Sales Hub or even Service Hub on top of Salesforce. There's a bi-directional sync, so it's very easy. It's just a couple of clicks, and then you'll have all your contacts and companies, tasks, all those opportunities, all that stuff will flow back and forth in between HubSpot and Salesforce. Really easy to use, very common.
Excellent.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, could I just mention something before we go away? We really appreciate, anyone that joined us with the webinar and took that step. So Prodigal we're reaching out to folks, or obviously we'd love you to reach out to us. 10% reduction in our initial agreement, our fees. We're talking about Prodigal's fees, for that initial agreement, because you joined us on this webinar. And that's something that we're glad to talk to you about. We really appreciate your time.
That's actually very good. So to summarize, anyone that inquires today and aligns with servicing partnership using HubSpot through Prodigal, there's a 10% offer, right? 10%.
Yeah, and I should say they don't have to respond today, but we'll be reaching out. And anybody who said, we see we were on the webinar and we end up doing business together, whenever that does initiate, we can give you a 10% discount for the initial agreement.
That's excellent. That's really good to know. I want to sneak in another question. I'll summarize it. It came across fairly long. If I'm a company with an antiquated website and I really don't have a lot of control and I don't know how to build a landing page, can the landing pages live independent where it's a jump from the antiquated site to HubSpot landing page and it doesn't have to be tightly integrated?
That's exactly right. So our team or the Prodigal team will help set that up for you, but you absolutely can. You could leave that site separately if you wanted to, and then just have all the landing pages like live on abc.com/whatever, a subdomain. And you could do that all day long. Yep, absolutely.
So I think at this point, it is coming up upon the hour. So out of respect for everyone's time, we certainly do appreciate everyone joining us today. I would love to offer any parting thoughts, closing comments from Jeff, Adrienne, Casey.
Adrienne, go ahead. I already put my offer out there.
Oh, yeah, I would say also, I believe HubSpot is offering starter growth is on a discount as well.
Yeah, there's several things that we're doing from a COVID discount standpoint.
So there is that as well.
Yep. Lots of different coronavirus things. Obviously, we know business are affected. And so there's a lot of some of the paid tools that we typically have in some of our higher end packages that we've moved down to businesses that they can use for free, or even some of them in the starter packages as well. But happy to figure out which one's the best for you. Feel free to reach out. Also reach out through Prodigal. And we're happy to match that 10% discount as well on our side.
There we go.
Excellent. Well, that's good. Well, in closing, what I heard today is that it's critical to have a digital presence and to drive a digital strategy and an outreach strategy with tools specifically like HubSpot. But nothing happens without a strong brand and strong messaging, right? So that's really the driver driving the race car, and you need that driver to drive the race car because it is about content that converts, and that's really what's most critical. And so this was a really wonderful illustration of all the power that the combination of technology and content and messaging and branding all come together with a series of experts here. So I do want to thank Jeff and Adrienne and Casey and the Prodigal company certainly for making this possible and really sharing their knowledge and expertise today. And Casey for sharing your knowledge and expertise on HubSpot. And thank you all the attendees for joining us as well. Really appreciate your time. And obviously this will be posted, the full recording will be posted on the webinar section of the Business Journal. And we want to thank you all for joining. And any questions, just send them towards Jeff and Adrienne.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Have a great day.